Zapatero, his behind-the-scenes police commissioner, and Óscar Puente were the supporters of the police's deputy director of operations, who is being investigated for rape. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Medidas Cautelares. Pay close attention to the information we're about to reveal. Who was behind it, who were the masterminds, the supporters, who made it possible for José Ángel González to be appointed as the Deputy Director of Police Operations. He has been forced to resign because of that alleged crime of sexual assault for having raped a police officer. And pay attention because we have the names of the three people who were involved. They would have endorsed, they would have imposed the appointment of José Ángel González as Deputy Director of Police Operations. Pay attention because we're talking about the former Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero. His behind-the-scenes police commissioner, his lieutenant, who is a commissioner named Segundo Martínez. And pay close attention because this issue would also affect the current Minister of Transport, Óscar Puente. We have all the information, everything, all the details, and we are going to share them as always so you can follow along from home. By the way, make sure you subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel with Miguel Ángel Pérez because we're about to reach 124,000 subscribers and we're on our way to 150,000. And we already have this information on the screen because honestly it's very surprising. Here you have the face of José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, the former Prime Minister, looking concerned, and it's no wonder. Listen to what we're about to say. The former Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, his right-hand man, Segundo Martínez, and the current Minister of Transport, Óscar Puente. They were the supporters of the appointment of the Deputy Director for Operations of the National Police, the DAO, José Ángel González. The DAO and his number 2, Commissioner Oscar San Juan, were forced to submit their resignation this week after it became known that a criminal complaint by an officer against José Ángel González for alleged crimes of sexual assault, coercion, and embezzlement was admitted for processing, and his Number 2, police sources we have consulted under precautionary measures state that Commissioner Óscar Martínez, lugarteniente de Zapatero, had been a close friend for years of the now resigned DAO, a week after the police complaint was admitted for processing. The DAO Chief Commissioner of Valladolid, they are like brothers. In fact, Valladolid is the link that connects both police officers with the current Minister of Transport, Óscar Puente, who, as we recall, was mayor of this city for 8 years. When Pedro Sánchez saw Fernando Grande Marlaska, Minister of the Interior, present a week after the police complaint became public, he backed the police commissioner. However, Segundo Martínez, with the direct communication between Zapatero and Sánchez, he managed to appoint José Ángel González as number 2, Commissioner Óscar. They were forced to have the PSOE Federal Executive also endorse the procedural appointment of the newcomer Marlaska, who didn't even have a party membership card. It should be noted that he is from the police, Chief Commissioner of Intelligence since October 2018. With Marlaska's arrival at the ministry until his retirement in October 2024, in September 2025 already retired, the minister brought him back for a high-ranking political position in San Juan. They were forced to do so. This week, news broke of his appointment to coordination and studies at the ministry, making him the de facto number 3 in the department after Marlaska and the Secretary of State. His duties include general coordination, studies, and control of secret funds, the confidential expenses. Las mismas fuentes consultadas subrayan que Óscar, who ended up making José Ángel González his most trusted man, he was about to present the week before the admission became known a procedure, a leftist ideology. The minister kept him in the position for 8 years. In fact, in November 2024, the government approved an express modification through a royal decree law of aid to eliminate the maximum retirement age for the DAO. This allowed González to continue as the number 2 in the police for as long as he wanted. Let's pause here because I find this extremely serious. In other words, The DAO was forced to submit their resignation the week the retirement date became public so that he could remain in the position. And on top of that, they approve a legal modification, sneaking it into a royal decree for Dana aid. Could they be any more immoral? Is there anything more immoral than taking advantage of a royal decree meant to help the victims of Dana? To secretly slip in the extension of DAO's working life? It's unbelievable, of course. That's what our sources are telling us about it. Well, Sanjuan, I saw oficialmente su cargo. Admission of the police complaint for processing. 65 years old at the end of 2024, and Grande Marlaska maneuvered so that he could remain in his position. The Minister of the Interior is more responsible for the alleged crimes than Commissioner Óscar. A finales de 2024, to present. His sexual assault, committed in April 2025, would never have happened. That is why Grande Marlaska must resign, and I completely agree. Week in which the admission of the complaint was made public. Marlaska, el DAO no habría podido cometer. Commissioner Óscar San Juan is directly politically responsible for these events, for these alleged crimes, and politically he must resign. It's just that we've already gotten used to some things. The week when the admission to Fernando Grande Marlaska became public. By the way, I also have to tell you about a police complaint regarding this DAO matter. Commissioner San Juan happened to submit a budget proposal just 2 weeks later. After the police complaint was admitted, National Police Officer Jose Ángel González, who worked at the Coslada police station. Well, the alleged victim and this Coslada Commissioner David Molano, was coincidentally the direct police supervisor of the alleged victim, and he was removed from his position. He resigned a week after the admission became public. The complaint against the DAO. Look, what a coincidence. We have spoken with police sources, and they don't rule out that in this scandal, the former DAO and his advisor are not the only ones involved. They are the ones who have resigned so far. They may not be the only police commanders who could end up being implicated. Commissioner David Molano was in charge of the police station where the officer was on duty before being called by the police force's number 2, the one who was on duty the day the alleged sexual assault took place. In fact, this police officer met with Jose Ángel González after driving an unmarked car from the aforementioned Coslada police station. So the issue of Coslada and San Juan comes up everywhere. It was clear that the police's acceptance for processing would come to light. His professional future is over, but now the judicial side is about to begin. On March 17th, he has to go testify before the judge, just like the alleged victim, who also has to go testify before the judge. And in this situation, it's also time to find out why the DAO was appointed. Who recommended the DAO? Well, as you can see, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero is everywhere. He's involved in everything. And his lieutenant in the shadows, Commissioner Segundo Martínez, saw the insiders of the Ministry of the Interior under Fernando Grande Marlaska, and finally the illustrious, the renowned minister Óscar Puente. Because they all had connections in Valladolid between Jose Ángel González, the DAO, Minister Óscar Puente, they were all united by Valladolid. And that's why, with those synergies, I saw resignation por esa violación. Week in which the police's admission for processing became known. I hope you liked the video. The information I've revealed to you, as always, first-hand information on medidas cautelares. You already know that you can become members like the chosen ones for less than €3 a month, or like the supreme ones for less than €7 a month. We just need a little push to reach 100 members. We're already at 95 or 96, so, well, remember to keep supporting this community so we can keep going strong. And you can also make your financial contributions. I saw Commissioner Óscar present his transcendence. 6370, lo más importante. Admission to process the police complaint was granted.